officer of Tamil Nadu Girls Battalion, Madurai. I once again extend a warm welcome to all the participants of this conference. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, sir. Now I extend my warm welcome. Now I extend my warm welcome to Colonel Rakesh Prasad, Officer Commanding 210 Girls Battalion, to deliver the inaugural address.
Respected Principal of the College, Dr. S. Ganesh Ram, respected Organizing Secretary of the Conference, Lieutenant Dr. Ajanta, dignitaries of the conference, faculty members, scholars, students, and participants of the conference. Jai Hind and very good morning to all. It gives me immense pleasure to deliver this inaugural address in this 3-day National Multidisciplinary Conference on Vision for India 2047, sponsored by Indian Council of Social Science and Research, New Delhi. As we all know, the National Cadet Corps is a youth development movement that has enormous potential and responsibility for building a nation. The NCC provides opportunities to the youth of the country for their all-round development with a sense of duty, commitment, dedication, discipline, and moral values, so that they become able leaders and useful citizens. The NCC battalions, joining with the educational institutions, are working hard to create a human resource of organized, trained, and motivated youth to provide leadership in all walks of life and always available for the service of the nation. The vision for the conference, Vision for India 2047, a new India of inclusive growth and equal rights to all citizens and classes by the dawn of second century of independence. The vision for India has targeted in empowering effective governance, making advancement in economic growth, attaining universal education, raising better health standards, total growth of women empowerment, developing youth generation, finest social transformation, ensuring civil rights protection, building alliance with different social, cultural, religious, and political groups, and to preserve and promote the culture and heritage of India to make it a great Indian nation. In this regard, it is our combined responsibility to inculcate the vision for future India in the minds of youngsters, as the future of India in their hands has already been brought out by the principal of the college. I must also appreciate the efforts taken by the ANO of SRNM College, Lieutenant Dr. Ajanta, for conducting this conference with the need of the hour for students and also the country. I must also thank the principal and the college management for their constant support in conducting such programs by the NCC wing. On behalf of 2nd Tamil Nadu Girls Battalion NCC Madurai, I welcome all the resource persons committed to this conference and my sincere appreciation to them for playing a significant role in this Vision for India 2047 by cultivating the ideas towards a patriotic development of the country among the students and our fellow citizens. Thank you all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for our energetic as well as vibrant inaugural address for us, which makes us and which gives us more spirit to work more prospective. Thank you, sir. And it is indeed a great pleasure to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker of the first session, Dr. Tommy K Kularkal. And I am happy to welcome sir for our inaugural address as well as for our conference. Sir is rendering his service as a professor and a Dean of Commerce, Christ University, Bangalore. He has over 35 years of academic experience and has widely published papers in reputed journals and has contributed chapters to edited volumes. Dr. Tommy has handled several prestigious roles in the university as a part of his academic career. His research interests are in the area of human resource development and organizational behavior. We are really privileged to listen to you today, sir. The topic of our session is 2047 and outlook for transforming Indians to transform India. Thank you so much for your valuable presence amidst your busy schedule, sir. The session is over to you, sir.
Hello, good morning. Am I audible? Dr. Ajanta, can you tell me, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. It is audible now, sir.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So, respected chief guest of the day, Colonel Rakesh Prasad, the principal of the college, the seminar coordinator, the organizers of the event, the participants, and their academicians. Thank you for having decided to spend your morning with me in the inaugural address of this national conference. I wish to pace my address into 3 phases. Phase 1, few opening statements with the key points which I could elicit about Vision 2047. Phase 2, share my personal ideological projections and standpoints about Vision 2047. And phase 3, visualizing a vision for India basing on the realities and developments of our times, with those supplementing the key objectives of the Vision 2047. Phase 1. What has changed in the past 1 year is much more than what changed in the past 10 years. This rapid pace of change is rampant now more than ever before. And such a change is altering the rules of the game, affecting the cross sections of our socio-economic, techno-political spheres, and more importantly, our life in general. It has become tough to anticipate what could be the possible changes to emerge in the days to come. Besides these changes, an unforeseen COVID-19 pandemic suddenly struck us as the biggest challenge ever for mankind, making any prophecies or future predictions more intricate. India at 2047 would certainly have evolved beyond our imagination. However, the unpredictability and uncertainty of our future makes it hard to visualize or articulate the exact shape of India that would emerge in 25 years from now. But what we hope to see or envision for 2047 could depend a lot on what we do in 2022. And in order to have a vision of what 2047 should be, we need to have a completely unromanticized view of where we are and what is. Undeniably, I am certainly not endowed with a divine power to see the future. Yet, I make this humble attempt at first in outlining and pinpointing the major reforms initiated for Vision 2047, and then share my thoughts and ideologies more specifically on how we Indians, by the year 2047, can transform India in line with our projected targets and reforms. These precisely are the indicators of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav concept, which should inspire us to optimally utilize the next 25 years. Upon dwelling on the diverse contours and the key takeaways, I find the Vision 2047 as a work in progress, projected and envisioned by the Government of India and presented to us citizens to ponder upon and contribute ideas for articulating our roadmap ahead. And this Vision India behooves the 100th year of Indian independence, a vision plan for a future-ready India that befits the centenarian year. This Vision 2047, therefore, must strategize at making India the world leader in strategic areas, aligning processes to international standards, and positioning its people and institutions among the global best. I strongly believe that India has always had a lot to offer and for the world to learn from. We owe a lot to the Indians who taught us how to count, without which no worthwhile scientific discovery could have been made, said Albert Einstein, the widely acknowledged physicist of all time. And I believe Vision 2047 also offers several such opportunities for learning. In the late 2021, the cabinet secretaries were assigned to the 10 sectoral group of secretaries, SGOS, and given instructions to identify the achievable targets within the stipulated time, set realistic targets, timelines, and milestones for the 2047 plan, and these will act as a foundation for future growth. By pooling in ideas shared and discussed in forums and platforms like this conference, the SGOS would then create a blueprint for the India at 2047 plan and aims to finalize the 2047 plan by May 2022. So, everything that we discuss here would add value to our nation building as these ideas are mobilized for the agenda setting for the next 25 years. So far, the key areas identified are agriculture, commerce, infrastructure, industry, urban landscape, security and defense, technology, and governance. I will attempt to share a few major focused reforms that are awaiting us in these domains. Among the prime ambitions, India's defense acquisitions are targeted to be freed from foreign reliance, along with a roadmap for India's space in the world in 2047. Looking at it from the industry perspective, restructuring and merger of public sector banks, along with a creation of 3 to 4 huge banks, is also being looked at. Likewise, developing 3 to 4 global champions in every sector of oil and gas by merger or restructuring of the companies, developing semiconductors to fill the shortage, and showcasing India as a hub and a leader in green technology, as well as development of skills, are ideas put forth for discussion. To help build the same, a revamp that involves re-engineering government processes, besides eliminating unnecessary interference by the government in the lives of the citizens, is also initiated. The government's proposals, like the setting up of Mission Karmayogi, based on the core principle of the shift of the civil servants working from rule to role, setting up of a capacity building commission as an instrument of dynamic upgradation of the governance services, and digital learning platform iGOT are in fact in tune with parameters that would be in place in the India of 2047. Given that today we live in the 4th phase of the industrial revolution, several unprecedented changes are also expected in the context of the systems and practices which govern us. When we seek to work out as to what would be the phase of governance in 2047, we inadvertently tend to forget that by 2047, the governance may have actually turned by and large phaseless, and new tools emanating from artificial intelligence, robotics, humanoids, drones, self-driving cars, Internet of Things, and other technologically innovative means are likely to take over the task of governance in a big way. The unprecedented scale at which several programs have been implemented, like One Nation, One Ration Card, e-office, centralized public grievance redress and monitoring system, and passport seva kendras and e-hospitals, reflect the government's conscious effort to adopt the building to scale, building to last approach where reforms are deep-rooted and long-lasting. To ensure digital infrastructure as a core utility to every citizen by providing unique digital identity, access to common service centers, several services on demand by seamless integration of services across departments and ministries are also suggested. Through all these, we may see more of flattened organizations, collaborative and boundaryless governance, increased volunteerism, collaborative skills, and citizen trust with engagement. The use of technologies such as artificial intelligence and machine learning for simplifying the process of gathering, collating, classifying, and automating information, thereby improving the process of decision-making, and blockchain to facilitate the process of recording transactions and tracking assets may become commonplace. On the social sector, suggestions are that India can partner with foreign R&D organizations to build top 10 labs in the country, develop India into a skill capital, and bring at least 10 Indian academic institutions amongst the top 100 globally. A new age agriculture plan proposes micro irrigation and organic farming as flagship schemes for hilly regions that can help India position as a top exporter in identified streams. The development of urban infrastructure and future-ready urban space is a major area of focus, along with making sure that villages have access to quality facilities. The terms of reference laid out for the SGOS demand the initial requirement to identify and conduct a gap analysis of the domestic capabilities in government and the private sector, both along with the most advanced international capabilities across sectors to identify strategic areas where India has potential to become world leader given a defined timeline. There have been roadmaps being sought to develop institutions, research centers, and think tanks as global leaders, along with facilitating both public and private sector in achieving the same. There also needs to be a system in place across all levels and sectors for institutional collaborations with foreign government bodies, international agencies, and institutions to better involve them in India's growth story. Benchmarking regulations, procedures, and processes to international standards and aligning them to global standards has been listed as a major area of work. Along with this, the government also wants to assess disparities across sectors, regions, and states, and also suggest measures to reduce them. Phase 2. Venturing to offer anything like a master plan and vision for the country as gigantic, as diverse, as complex, as contradictory, and as mixed up as India for the next 25 years into the future is a risky endeavor. On such an overarching canvas, I can only do a few brush strokes, the rest of which I shall leave to your imagination. It might also be a risky endeavor, which economists want to call the myth of the long run. However, 2047 is not quite a long run. It depends, of course, on the age group you belong to. And I am unsure if I would be there to confirm whether my vision had proved to be wise or otherwise. But I believe India's can-do generation can achieve every goal imaginable that I wish to share in the next couple of minutes. My conviction is that the youth are not useless. They are used less. And such young individuals who are champions of liberation and creativity have the potential to work harmoniously to realize the vision and dreams of our country. Our history is replete with several such examples of how individuals have transformed our society. When India was oppressed, a timid Lakshmi was transformed into valorous Rani of Jhansi, and then India transformed to fight the oppressors. When India was slumbering, Narendra was transforming into Swami Vivekananda, and then India transformed by weakness to strength, spiritual, not physical, to reckon with in the global arena. When India was struggling for freedom, M.K. Gandhi transformed into Mahatma Gandhi, and then India transformed to attain political freedom. When an atheist Balan transformed into Swami Chinmayananda, India transformed to provide knowledge of the Gita to individuals from any background. When Jamshedji Tata transformed to be the father of Indian industry, India transformed to recognize its potential to compete globally. When young Bhim Rao was belittled, he transformed into Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, earning 12 PhDs, and India transformed into a democratic republic with her own constitution. When a fisherman's son, Abdul, transformed into Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, India transformed to revive her scientific progress. What I emphasize is the individual transformations and their contributions leading to country's transformation. As Swami Chinmayananda said, each individual is a unit in this universe, in this world. And all these individuals put together are called the community or the nation or the world itself. Apart from the individuals, there is no world. All of you put together without any distinction and differences, all your minds put together is the world outside. However, I am unsure if I would be around to confirm the wisdom or otherwise of my projected vision of transforming Indians for 2047. But many of you would be. While attempting to express my thoughts, I take guidance from a former president's mixed approach. Raising the question of whether the vision was expected to be a futuristic projection of what India would be like in 2047, or a personal ideological projection of what one likes India to be, K.R. Narayanan resolved the dilemma by assuming it to be a mixture of the two. I will do likewise. I shall anchor my deliberation on a mixture of two propositions. At first, deliberate upon a few of my ideological projections of what I would like India to be in 2047. And secondly, speak about a broader vision for India, supplementing the Vision 2047 discussions. I wish to share my hopes, my fears, as well as about what appears to me as reasonable expectation, more specifically on the intellectual and human capital of our country. And this by means is exhaustive. But what I will share is what I think is relevant. So my first proposition for 2047 is to nurture and enrich the idea of inclusive growth, for which India is known for several generations. And this encapsulates our philosophy of unity in diversity, individual freedom and liberty of expression, celebration of secularism, penetration of planned development to the grassroots, reaching every nook and corner of our country, setting up of several institutions of eminence, and a just and reasonably prosperous society, an independent society free from age-old social ills and weaknesses. As a noted journalist of our times, N. Ram, in one of his articles, expresses the concern that the big question before us today is whether 75 years on, has India kept its tryst with destiny? In trying to answer this question, let us apply Jawaharlal Nehru's litmus test. The service of India means the service of the millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty, ignorance, and disease and inequality of opportunity. The path India took in 1947 was a brave experiment in trying to address underdevelopment and extreme deprivation in a large, highly populated, poor country within the framework of parliamentary democracy. If we go back by 1947 statistics, poverty rate in India was roughly around 70%. Literacy rate was 12%. Female literacy was further worse at 8.9%, which means 90% of the population during 1947 were living below the poverty line and with no access to primary education. The average life expectancy was 27 years, and our infant mortality was 218 per thousand, which means 22 children out of every 100 newborn babies would die. That was the sad state of affairs post-independence. The British, of course, had also left us after 200 years of colonization and exploitation. Never before in history was a country so divided, so large and so complex, constituted as a single nation. Never ever in human history has such a miracle happened. Adding more, there was mass famine, destitution, epidemics, communal disturbances. So there were both natural and man-made challenges, all of which stalked our country aside. But how did this nation, once written off at birth, survive? Not just survive. As per the IMF reports, which came on October 30th, 2019, India would evolve as an economic superpower by 2024. It says India will leapfrog Germany and the United States to claim the number 3 spot in global rankings in 2024. We are the 4th in the world by military strength. Second in terms of number of people in defense. 6th country to have done own nuclear testing. World's largest post office network with over 1 lakh offices. Largest number of films being made, 1,911 movies in 2018. Largest number of women pilots, 12.4% of total pilots. Second in terms of population strength, which we consider as our demographic dividend. Third largest economic superpower in terms of real GDP after the United States of America and People's Republic of China. 7th country to have own satellite. Third in terms of agricultural produce. First in spices and milk production, and so on and so forth. So given what we were in 1947, we have indeed come a long way. But the experiment, which I mentioned earlier, largely failed Nehru's litmus test of ending poverty, ignorance, disease, and inequality of opportunity. India is one of the most unequal societies today. It is truly an incredible India, an incredibly unequal India, says Shyam Menon, the founding vice chancellor of the Ambedkar University, Delhi. And the 27-floor building, a private home in the Altamount Road, Kampala Hill, Mumbai, standing tall, is the ultimate act of celebration of India's modern day inequality. On the other hand, about 1 crore migrant laborers, for lack of food, work, and shelter, had to walk back from their Karma Bhumi, urban cities, to the Janma Bhumi, their hometown, during the 2020 March-June lockdown. While turning a blind eye to this laborers' exodus, even the government said that while over 81,000 accidents with 29,000 fatalities occurred during that period, it had no data on migrant laborers who might have succumbed on the Indian roads. In contrast, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, despite the pandemic in 2021, Ambani and Adani added $13 billion and $55.3 billion to their fortunes, respectively. My fear is that it will be difficult to reverse this increasing trend of inequality between the haves and the have-nots. Going by the current realities, by 2047, it is highly likely that this inequality will only have newer manifestations and definitions. India has done poorly on several indicators relative to similarly placed countries, and the latest India country report with reference to achieving Millennium Development Goals makes it clear. According to the 6th edition of Sustainable Development Report 2021, released by Sustainable Development Solutions Network, India, with a score of 60.1, has been placed at 120th rank out of 165 countries. India ranks 131 in the United Nations Human Development Index. And as per the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy, India has 53 million unemployed people as of December 2021, and a huge proportion of them are women. Furthermore, the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index 2021 ranks India at 66 out of 109 countries. India was ranked 85 among 180 countries in a Corruption Perception Index of 2021, according to a new report by Transparency International. Also, India slipped to 101st position in the Global Hunger Index 2021 of 116 countries from its 220 position of 94. And in the World Press Freedom Index, India is ranked 142, same as last year, after it had consistently slid down from 133 in 2016. So, even the CPI on governance, GHI on economics, and the WPFI on information access and control gives awful perspectives about these ailing sectors. So there is no second thought that India as a country has not been completely able to rid itself of its worst form of deprivations and inequalities, which our former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh used to refer somewhat euphemistically as the harsh edges of poverty. Will Indian society still be unequal in 2047? Will the poor remain poor, or will they turn out to become ultra poor by 2047? Or, to put it differently, how will India be prosperous while also ensuring socio-economic justice? Can we take the statistics and reports before us for granted? The answer is loud and clear. It's a big no. These fundamental issues are complex, and their workable solutions have yet to be agreed upon. So what we as responsible individual citizens aspiring to bring in transformations need to do is to work towards building public opinion and undertake democratic and progressive public actions towards bringing about a suitable and sustainable strategy for change. And what will mean figuring out what kind of institutional change is needed in which we individuals can shoulder responsibilities and contribute towards uplifting our nation. The question that we all need to ask is, can we be the change agents and address those needs of all of us, especially the last, the least, and the lost? Because as I already mentioned, only individual transformations can lead to societal transformations. In this context, the transformation toolkit I would suggest is to have a completely unromanticized view of where we are and what is, for which we should, 1, dare to question, inquire, explore, and find out. 2, dare to change bad habits and practices that hold us back. 3, dare to act. Not enough to remain good, but act boldly, innovatively. And 4, dare to dream. Probably write down your dream for India at 2047 and the part you will play. In addition to this, can we take a few simple but possible resolutions to be transformational and responsible citizens? For instance, let's all vow that I will volunteer my services at a community welfare center or tutor unprivileged children or help a needy. I will obey traffic rules at all times, practice ethics, morality, etiquettes, and decency. I will organize a neighborhood cleaning drive in my locality. I will not accept or give bribe and will stop others from doing so. I will organize tree plantation drives, one Mahotsav. I will not spit or urinate in public places. I will segregate waste and not throw away in public places. I will research about the candidates that I vote for in the elections. I will celebrate all national festivals and practice religious tolerance. I will keep abreast with the current affairs. With these and several other creative and constructive interventions, I visualize India at 2047 having progressed much farther on the path of development guided by the trinity of justice, equality, and fraternity. A society that is devoid of all kinds of discriminations on the basis of caste, gender, community, and language. All socio-economic evils should by then be a ghost of the past buried deep in the sands of time. Our ancestors to sow the world as one family, Vasudhaiva Kudambagam or Loga Samasta Sugino Bhavantu, and led India on a roadmap to promote compassion and cohesion, not only within the country, but also across the world. With the rich heritage bestowed upon us, and by following the footsteps of our founding fathers, I envision a prosperous, progressive, and peaceful India, gently striding on the world stage in a manner that is enduring and cooperative, evolving into a truly pluralistic society, embracing diversity and committing to provide equal opportunities for all its citizens. Phase 3. The second proposition is about staying relevant with the changing times. As the world is gradually recovering from the economic devastation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, it is looking keenly at the growth story of a technologically enabled India, which has shown an appetite for innovation, adoption of technology, digitalization, and automation. According to the latest Global Economic Prospects report by the World Bank, India's GDP growth is estimated to be 8.3% this fiscal year and 8.7% in 2022-23, outpacing other developing countries like China, Indonesia, and Bangladesh. India is now a $3.1 trillion economy, which is the sixth largest economy in the world behind the US, China, Japan, Germany, and the United Kingdom. India is likely to overtake Japan as Asia's second largest economy by 2030, when its GDP is projected to surpass that of Germany and the UK to rank as world's number 3. India has the third largest startup ecosystem in the world after the USA and China. Indian startups raised a total of $42 billion in 2021, up from $11.5 billion in 2020. In 2021, India added 46 new unicorns, doubling the number of its unicorns to 90, with a total valuation of $320 billion. It is expected that by 2025, the number of India's unicorns would grow to around 180 to 200, with a cumulative valuation of $600 to 700 billion, offering tremendous opportunities for investors in sectors like edtech, fintech, health tech, and software as a service. No matter what, India is often described as a country of paradoxes and conundrums, and nowhere else is this more visible than in the nation's workforce and job market. On one hand, it has the power of human capital because more than 50% of India's population is below the age of 25. On the other hand, we are staring at an employability crisis. According to the World Economic Forum, of the 13 million people who join India's workforce each year, only 1 in 4 management professionals, 1 in 5 engineers, and 1 in 10 graduates are employable. How can we alleviate this problem and fully leverage the power of our human capital? The December 2017 Jobs Lost, Jobs Gained report of McKinsey suggests that by 2030, 75 million to 375 million workers, that is 3 to 14% of the global workforce, will need to switch occupational categories. Moreover, all workers will need to adapt as their occupations evolve alongside increasingly capable machines. Some of that adaptation will require higher educational attainment or spending more time on activities that require social and emotional skills, creativity, high-level cognitive capabilities, and other skills relatively hard to automate. The current global trend of thought is that the definition of skill has to change to reflect the challenges driven by globalization and a faster rate of technological developments. Skills no longer refer to just technical abilities. They have come to encompass a broader canvas where attributes such as curiosity, imagination, resilience, creative expression, and design thinking are equally valued. This is in tandem with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development Projects report, The Future of Education and Skills 2030. According to this report, to prepare a future-ready workforce, people must think creatively and work towards developing new products and services, jobs, processes, and methods. Hence, India's higher education programs and curricula should include a diversity of subjects that can open up untapped avenues. The economists warn us that growth is not likely to generate new jobs. On the other hand, it is quite possible that the employment in the organized sector will stagnate, if not shrink. The human capital challenges, which I enlisted in phase 2 of my address, pointed out this will particularly be exacerbated by this much anticipated fourth industrial revolution characterized by automation and artificial intelligence. Many jobs are likely to disappear. The workforce will have to reinvent every few years to acquire new skills, to stay relevant, or just to survive in the market. This will invite consequences of uncertainty and constant struggle among the people to reinvent oneself. Yuval Noah Harari, in his book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, predicts that by 2050, a useless class might emerge, not merely because of an absolute lack of jobs or lack of relevant education, but also because of insufficient mental stamina. The useless class, which thus falls into the abyss of being permanently unemployed and unemployable, is rendered irrelevant by the organized economy because it holds no utility except minimally as marginal consumers. The logical extension of this scenario, according to Harari, is the dystopia where the useless class is eventually pushed into the margins of poverty, malnutrition, disease, and increased vulnerability to natural calamities, while the rich and the powerful soar beyond hitherto unimaginable frontiers of superhuman glory, immortality, and eternal youth. Thanks largely to the breakthroughs in bioengineering, the fruits of which only they can afford. In a nutshell, the prime challenge of all of us would be to stay relevant. By and large, our capabilities and cope abilities would decide our survival. The World Economic Forum publishes an annual list of skill sets required for one to stay relevant to the context and development of the changing times. It also suggests the evolving and declining job trends. I would also urge you to sit back and reflect upon what would make you stay relevant, not just in 2047, but for every split second that we are awake and alive. In fact, we are living in times where Darwinism maxim of the survival of the fittest has to be coupled with survival of the fastest, which is to say that our survival depends largely on how quickly one adapts to the changes around us. Before I conclude, let's also reflect upon some aspects of the core domain of education which all of us represent. Dr. Shashi Tharoor, in one of his TED Talks on education, summarizes the challenges faced by the Indian education system in 4 E's, namely expansion, equity, excellence, and employability. He first states that the British left us with 12% literacy, 4 lakh students, 26 universities, and around 700 colleges. But today, in 2022, the overall literacy rate works out to be 72.9%, and we have 1,018 universities and 250 million students graduating from around 45,000 colleges. So the expansion of education in India certainly did take place. In terms of bringing in equity by including the excluded and reaching out to the unreached, through inclusive strategies for those denied education for reasons that are gender, caste, religion, region specific, we have progressed tremendously. Though it shows a gender gap of 16.25% at the national level, the male literacy rate today is at around 80.89%, and that for females is at 64.64%. The third E, which Tharoor highlights, is the excellence in education. In fact, it's a sheer coincidence that the motto of the institution which I represent is also excellence and service. Excellence, I believe, should be made as the DNA of quality education. However, though there are institutions like the IITs and the prestigious IIMs, which are considered the ivory towers, rather islands of excellence, they float in the abundance of institutions of mediocrity. Moreover, from the Indian institutions, there is hardly any visibility in terms of global research output, with a possible exception that India in 2020 overtook Germany to become the 3rd largest producer of scientific articles. Also, the QS World University Rankings 2022 shows that 35 Indian institutes found a place among the total 1,300 universities ranked from across the world. However, apart from the usual 3 IITs, IIT Bombay ranked 117, IIT Delhi ranked 185, and IISc Bangalore ranked 186. No other Indian university secured a spot among the top 200. So we lack quality academic global institutions to reckon with. The fourth and the final E, employability too, there are several expressions of concerns. Less than 10% of the MBA graduates are employable, says Asochem. UNICEF in 2020 had said that more than half of the Indian graduates are unemployable. The re-education and not on the job training centers of Infosys set up at Mysore and that of TCS at Thiruvananthapuram raises doubts about our education system as such. So the prime challenge for academic institutions or for the country as a whole are not unemployment or underemployment, but unemployability. It is high time that we educators, academicians, and administrators think and act on these concerns. I also found some interesting observations in an article written in The Hindu by the current director of Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, in October 2020, and I quote, "In 2047, 6 billion people in the world constitute the middle class. With little money, but with enormous hunger for learning, they will define the learner base for a networked global university system. Technology will proliferate intelligence from hardware to software to everywhere. Smart schools and smart classes may soon morph to smart chairs and smart desks. Intelligence can be embedded into everything. Smart chairs will have sensors to map the flow of attention in the classrooms. On the other hand, the intangibles of teaching learning process, such as creativity, mentorship, and facilitation of learning, will give birth to the quest for mastery. Teachers will evolve from ringmasters to Zen masters, raising awareness rather than delivering content. The 4 core tasks of the university: creation, dissemination, accreditation, and monetization of knowledge will require a sweet synthesis of algorithm and altruism. Learning will involve mobilization of knowledge for a specific person in a specific context to face specific challenges or problems. In the ultimate analysis, learning will be about propagation of crucial questions rather than predetermined answers. Pressure of performance will have to coexist with the pleasure and ecstasy of learning, unquote. In 2047, school will not be a brick and mortar house, but a connecting hub that will digitally decode, deliver, and disperse knowledge. Disruptive innovation will enable technology to give greater access to hitherto exclusive knowledge and fulfill unmet learner needs. A vice chancellor's office or a principal's office will look a lot more like a tech studio. Technology will not be a cosmetic add-on, but serve as a strategic purpose. Leading schools of the world will harness talent and technology seamlessly. Traditionally, the students of professional courses learn through field and factory visits. Today, it is possible for a factory experience to be simulated in a classroom. A leading global engineering company, ABB, is using virtual reality to stimulate a factory experience in a school. In fact, by 2019 September itself, at Indus International School, Bangalore, disruptive technologies and artificial intelligence had made their way into the classrooms as humanoid robots, teaching students and interacting with them as teachers do. As per their collaborative learning model, the man-machine team comprising a teacher, students, and the robot collaborate in the classrooms to deliver a lesson. So, the technological disruption has already reached our doorstep. And by 2047, such collaborative learning, transdisciplinarity rather than multidisciplinarity will become the norm. Transdisciplinarity is about creating a coherence of intellectual frameworks beyond the disciplinary perspectives. Knowledge in 2047 will move from discipline-based units to a concoction or a seamless unity of meaning and understanding. However, a UNESCO report titled State of the Education Report for India 2021, released on World Teachers Day in 2021, states that there is an adverse teacher-pupil ratio despite increase in availability of teachers. Moreover, there is no information on the availability of teachers in creative subjects like music, dance, art, and the like. Interestingly, the extent of availability and deployment of various subject teachers is also unknown. Almost all single teacher schools are located in rural areas. The northeastern states of India need special efforts to improve the availability of qualified teachers and deployment, the report said. The reports noted special attention needs to be paid to rural areas, districts with high scheduled caste and tribe populations, and all across India's northeast, where the ratio of teachers to students needs to improve and to be rationalized. Working conditions in these difficult to staff regions also need to be improved, including basic amenities, better provisioning of libraries, and access to information and communication technology. More state support for teacher education programs is desirable in these regions. What I still wish to leverage on is in our demography. India is a young country. And this is amazing as this is happening at a time when the rest of the world is aging. India's average age is just 28. The average age in Japan is 49. In China, it is 38. In Europe, 46. In the United States, the youthful US would also be 40. But India's average age remains at 28. We are potentially the people who are youthful, productive, and dynamic, ready to work and transform not just India, but the world. The ILO estimates show that the rest of the world would have a deficit to how much they actually need. So the question is, do we have those education skills and abilities that can make us the workforce of the world? Fortunately, after 34 years, India has now rekindled the conversation on its national education policy, NEP. And a policy is as good as it is actualized in practice, for which our thoughts and actions can bring about a difference. And in this context, let us recognize that there are three basics of education: learning the foundations of learning, learning to live, and learning to work. And knowledge is not only going to be the driver of the economy, it is also going to permeate into all the strata of Indian society for better quality of life and comfortable and dignified living conditions. Academic institutions, which we all represent, will have to adopt a more holistic and open learning environment that supports and motivates each student to nurture their creative talents, allowing them to come up with unique solutions to 21st century problems. And above all, as Professor Debashis suggests, the most valuable outcome of education is the becoming of a competent and compassionate human being. Moving forward in the next 25 years, as we look at India at 2047, when the country will be celebrating its centenary of independence, let's visualize India becoming the world's learning base of compassion, a compassion capital of the world, evolving as much for technological and economic powerhouse, while also bolstering our democratic and pluralistic values. While celebrating our independence and interdependence, let's ensure that the concerns of the last, least, and the lost are addressed. I am not attempting a crystal ball gazing here, but what I have shared is what I think is relevant to the times. So, as we look forward, I recognize that learning anything, anytime, and any way is not only possible, but necessary. We need to allow learning processes to develop freely, and certification should facilitate barrier-free learning. Barrier-free lifelong learning is where the future is, and the best part is it's already here. However, the system is not flawless, and it has many addressable issues of serious concern with regard to financing, management, governance, access, equity, relevance, reorientation of programs by laying emphasis on values and ethics, health and fitness, consciousness and quality of higher education, and related accreditation. I hope this conference will address those concerns and come out with newer resolutions. It is time we not just introspect and act upon the best, but also the next practices. However, I wish to conclude this address with a poem written by the 1913 Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, still echoing its relevance in the times that we are living in. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your valuable insights into the topic, sir. We are showered with more thoughtful and resourceful pieces of information and ideas in the entire session. We have really been inspired to transform ourselves for the betterment and the progress of our country. I would like to thank Professor Tommy for accepting our invitation besides his hectic academic commitments. We are really grateful to you for sparing your valuable time and knowledge to enrich us. Your valuable time makes our time more valuable with your thought-provoking speech. I, on behalf of our institution, SRNMC, our battalion, and the entire educational fraternity gathered in this conference, extend my hearty thanks once again, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I thank all the resource persons of other sessions joined for this inaugural address. And we are moving to the next session, second session. We are delighted to have another resource person, enlightening resource person for this session, Dr. C. Muthuraja, Associate Professor, Department of Economics, American College, Madurai. I am happy to introduce a brief note of our resource person. Dr. C. Muthuraja is the Head and Associate Professor, Postgraduate and Research Department of Economics, the American College, Madurai. He is teaching economics for nearly 30 years to undergraduate and postgraduate students. He is research guide for MA, MPhil, and PhD students. He has participated in 5 refresher courses and presented papers in nearly 15 international and 155 national level conferences, seminars, and workshops. Dr. C. Muthuraja has published 20 academic articles in newspapers in English and Tamil, and 60 articles in books under national and international journals. He has received awards from Economic Committee of Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, Indian Council of Philosophical Research, New Delhi, Poverty Eradication Foundation, California, and a Lifetime Recognition Productivity Award from National Productivity Council, Government of India, New Delhi. He has also been life membership in various academic and professional organizations. He has also acted as faculty elected governing council member, the American Governing Council, Madurai, for the period of 2012 and 14. Now, it is understood that we have another resource person for this session to enlighten us. So the session is over to you now.
Morning to all. I hope you are able to hear my voice.
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I must thank the college who is organizing a wonderful international interdisciplinary conference to cover youth of India.
Sorry, sir. Excuse me, sir, sorry.
Yes.
Could you check your volume, sir? It is little down.
Okay.
Still, sir, still it is not much audible. It is low actually.
Okay. I hope now it's okay.
Sorry, sir.
Clear?
Still not clear, sir. It is actually low. We can hear you, but it is low.
I'll check 1 second.
Please, sir.
I hope now it's okay.
I hope so, sir. Could we continue, sir?
Madam, okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can continue, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is audible now.
Madam, I hope now it's okay.
Yes, sir. It is okay. It is somewhat okay. Yes, we can continue, sir.
Sorry. It's a big event. Especially, I must thank the college authorities and Dr. Ajanta Army for organizing such wonderful interdisciplinary conference on India 2047. It's a great event. Before going for my presentation, I must thank Dr. Tommy for making a noble lecture for effective listening by the educated youth of India. So thank you, sir. Really, we learned a lot from your lecture, covering A to Z of the dimensions on India 2047. I am here, particularly after listening Tommy lecture. It's very difficult to substitute new ideas to the audience. Anyway, I will try to cover my own points. First of all, we must think the background of this topic. I think many of you know, India is a vibrant economy, it's a vibrant country today. Relatively speaking, India is a leader. In 2047, India is going to be a superpower economy in the world. This is what we are going to discuss, how it is going to be achieved this process. I have a small PPT. I will try to use the PPT. Then later on we'll have a discussion. I hope are you able to view the PowerPoint presentation.
No, sir. Hasn't it started? It is not a chat, sir.
Okay, come in.
No, sir. There is no trace of any PPT sharing. Sir, could you try to speak without your headphones, sir? I think it will be little better, please.
Uh-huh. Because the system is not open.
Because your voice is still feeble, sir. We can hear you, but with a little stress. That's why, please.
Yeah, it's taken time.
Yeah.
Okay, madam.
Sir?
Are you able to hear my voice?
Yes, sir. It is better now, sir.
I will check the mic.
Yes, sir. The screen has started sharing.
No, it's a really late. I hope it's coming.
Sorry, sir.
Are you able to see
Yeah,
that?
yeah. We can see it now, sir. We can see it.
Yeah, please. Really, I'm sorry.
What is the background of your email, sir? Could you download it and
Yeah, I have a downloaded copy. It is in the desktop. One second. I'm sorry, I'm not able to get the CPT to be shared.
it is okay for you? Could you share it with me so I can share from here, sir?
Yeah. Can I send that through WhatsApp or mailing?
Yeah, sure, sir. You can send it to WhatsApp also, sir.
Yeah, one second. I'm sorry.
No issue, sir. Sir, with your permission, can I tell you a little instruction to our participants, sir?
Yeah, please.
Thank you, sir.
You'll take over.
Dear participants, we have posted the feedback and attendance form for the first session. Kindly fill it up. And it will not be requested in our WhatsApp group or anywhere else. Please fill it now itself.
1 minute it's coming. Sorry, madam, it is coming. I sent it through WhatsApp. By the time I will speak. Dear participants, I really am sorry. I'm not digitally okay person. So I hope you will follow the PPT. By the time I will introduce the topic. I think after listening Dr. Tommy's lecture, I think all the participants must understand the importance of India in 2047. Madam, I hope are you able to hear my voice?
Yeah, sir, it is audible,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you. So India 2047 is a unique year because of the 100th year of independence. I think the situation will be different in 2047. Why we are talking about 2047 as a very important for Indian context in terms of India in the world or global India. There are two points we must remember always. As a India, we are going to celebrate 100th year of independence. And on the basis of the focus, on the basis of the information available in the last 70 years, we are planning for developing India in a new era in the year 2047 by way of celebrating, by way of really celebrating India 100 years independence. I think many of you know now the present situation is different. Even though we are able to say India is the largest democracy in the world, India is having more amount of employed youth. India is experiencing democratic dividend and all that. On the basis of these information, we are here to plan and prepare and execute a suitable plan in the name of India 2047 for our better future. I think if you Google it, you will get more information. I think there are many reports shared by World Bank, ILO, United Nations, and all that. But I'm here to give a small tips. What are the very important things to be remembered as a faculty, as a students of Indian context? For that, we must always think in terms of three things. One is the aim of vision document, particularly the aim of vision 2047. Then principle involved in vision 2047 and priorities. I think these things are already shared by Dr. Tommy, but I am giving a different picture because as academicians, we must remember always what are the things to be understood properly in order to have an effective participation in the process of making India as a global leader in 2047. Madam, I hope you received the PPT.
Yes, sir, I received it, sir.
Okay, thank you. I will go. In terms of aim, I think the aim of the vision is to create an action plan. I think the last 2-3 years, if you are watching closely, Commonwealth India is preparing to have an effective, executable plan for India 2047. I think the last year budget also, after Nirmala Sitharaman, budget also brought new changes in terms of agricultural changes, digitalization process, and the smart cities. These are the focus. These are the focal points to be adopted in 2047. That's why they already started. And they also brought roadmap created for each sector. I think there are 10 sectors to be notified, 10 sectors to be focused in order to have a better economic growth rate. And more importantly, the execution of the plan begins this decade. I think it's very good. I think many of you know the next 25 years depends on the past 25 years of the report. I think the present situation of Indian economy, Indian situation, is the base for the Indian economy or India 2047. This is what we are able to see in the name of aim of the vision document. 2047. And what are the principles involved in this document? I'm referring document as a proposal document to execute and implement good things to make India as a global leader in 2047. The whole of country or the whole of government approach is going to be followed in the planning process. And more importantly, the plan will build expertise within the government. I think watch closely in the case of government, both the central government, state government, and local government. We are going to use expertise available in the government sector in order to make effective execution. And it will liberate international capital. I think many of you know, even though we are able to see India is having a problem in terms of capital because of no savings. Sometimes, even though we are able to have more savings, but very difficult to convert savings as a capital and investment. It's very, very difficult.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, madam, please.
Shall I share the screen now, sir?
Yeah, please, please.
Thank you.
Let's go to the second or third. Yeah, I think the screen is on the way. And another interesting point you must remember, it will involve international expertise. That means India, now it's a global India. Indians settled in all over the world. India is dependent on international agencies. And many of you know the United Nations, World Bank, ILO, APO, Asian Protection Organization. These organizations are also playing a very important, vital role to bring India as a global partner in 2047. Next slide, madam. Second or third? Second slide. Yeah, next one. Next one. Yeah, yes. Next one. Next. Fourth slide. Yes, this is what we are discussing. So, in terms of principle, we always look at the country as a whole, even though we have a different system of government, like the Canadian government. We have a three-tier system, but we always look at India as the concept of the whole of country or whole of government, because we always believe, only four. Yeah, thank you. We always believe the government is an agent, it's an institution which brings more important role in order to make India in 2047 with the support of corporates and others. I already said that the international expertise is very, very, very important. They are going to use international expertise in terms of not only Indians settled in all over the world, as well as the expertise available all over the world who have interest on India. So they will make use of international expertise. And very importantly, it will involve experts from different fields in terms of making future India. I think many of you know, I think Dr. Tommy also referred how Indian people, Indian youth, Indian corporate will be have a better future India. This is what we always look at in principle of Vision 2047. We always look at the priorities. What are the priorities they are focused? Even though they are able to mention many points, but we are discussing 3-4 points. Number one, to develop a new age agriculture. What is new age agriculture? That we must remember. I think the present budget of Nirmala Sitharaman also mentioned the digitalization in the agricultural sector. That means the agro-tech is the essence of the future India. This is what Madam also brought the changes in the budget through budget documents. The new age agriculture will bring more productivity, more technology, more in the Indian conditions. So these are components of the new age agriculture. It's a priority in the vision document 2047. And second one, future ready cities. I think Dr. Tommy already mentioned it. What is the future ready cities? There are some references. India is able to have 69 leading cities in India, particularly highly populated cities. But they are occupying only 3% of the state. 60 to 70% of energy available in these regions. So that means the cities is more or less equal to countries in the world. 69 cities in India means 69 countries in the world. That means they are consuming more and more electricity, more and more energy and other things. So in order to have a better treatment for urban sector, they are also giving priority in urban cities. Next one, more importantly, to create an ecosystem that will facilitate emergence of Indian global champions. Today we are in the process of making our corporates a global corporates, our government sector is a global government sector, by way of making our India is a global leader in terms of having higher productivity, in terms of using more digitalization process, in terms of having more what you call green productivity. So these are the things we must remember always when we are thinking of vision document 2047 by way of giving priority. And another important thing, I think many of you know, the leverage growing soft power of the country. I think today the soft power of the country is it's a potential one. That means the soft skills of our youth, the soft energy of our youth is globally known. I think the world companies are supported by, are trained by, are energized by Indian youth, Indian English speaking, Indian what we call it, expertise, digital experts are ruling the world corporate. How we can make use of this energy to make India as a very, very global leader in 2047. Next slide, please. About the plan, I think there are 2 points we must remember before going to understand the issue. About the plan, I think I already said targets are completed within 25 years. This is a document which I'm referring my government document as well as DOA document. They are referring these things in government sector. First, 3 foreign defense acquisitions that are made by India. I think Dr. Tommy already mentioned. I think the current budget is also made importance to reduction of what we call dependence of multinational companies in our defense sector. It's a starting point to make India as a very powerful country in the near future and make India as a self-reliant. I think many of you know the National Production Council comes under Minister of Commerce and Industry, brought a national level program, national level census is a small productivity, self-reliance economy through increasing productivity. That means government of India wants to have a self-reliant economy, self-reliant resources in the modern context as well as the coming future. And the restructure of public sector banks, which is what Dr. Tommy already mentioned, making our banking sector as a global leader. I think we have a nationalized banks as well as private banks. How we can make use of these banks, the setup of banks, make or converting these banks as a 3 or 4 leading banks of the world. So the process already started, but implications and consequences they will observe on the basis of the impact they will modify the decision. And the plan is looking to merge 3 or 4 big banks in the country and develop semiconductor complexes. I think now the digitalization process is the order of the day in agriculture sector, in industry sector, in service sector. I think even in the home sector also, the digitalization process play a vital role. and eliminate the unnecessary interference made by the government on the lives of the citizens. I think many of you know that the ease of doing business, that is the policy brought up by the government 2 3 years back. The same thing is modified. How we can bring a quality of service to the citizen by way of using digitalization process. It's called government is using governance by way of reaching all the citizens, not only educated people, not only urban people, but reaching all is the focus of the government. And plan is to build more number of labs, scientific labs, in order to have a better R&D facilities in the country and turn India into a skill capital. I think already India is known for the skills, and I think Dr. Tommy already mentioned, after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years, the skills that required by the world is totally different. So on the basis of the expectations of the world, Indian government is making the skill sets for our Indian youth in order to feed our youth to the world corporate, world companies. That's what we need to focus and develop at least 10 Indian global institutions to bring them among the top 100 in the world. I think this is also very important in terms of higher education, in terms of corporate, in terms of universities, and in terms of even basic education. We must focus more on standardization, more on educational productivity. Then only we can think of developing a skill set for our Indian youth. And, the demographic dividend is more important, already mentioned by our speaker. And these things are studied by the government agency in the name of gap analysis, available in the government sector as well as the private sector. So this is about the plan which the government of India is working on it in order to make India as a superpower and in order to make India as a leading country in terms of economy, in terms of heritage, in terms of culture and other things. And I mentioned two things: the new age agriculture. What is new age agriculture? I think that new age agriculture will address the issues like climate change, scarcity of water, lack of demand available, lack of land availability, and the exploding population. These are issues discussed by international agencies, including World Bank, ILO, and United Nations. The climate change, I think many of you know, today the climate change is a serious problem, particularly the carbon effect because of more automation, more automobile industry, more industrial sector. On one side, we are able to have more productivity, and another side, we have a problem of pollution. So how to have a better sustainable climate change without affecting the future generations? We have to produce more. This is what we are focusing on, the new age agriculture. And scarcity of water. I mean, many of you know, water is a serious problem in the world as well as in India. That's why we also remember the budget document brought nationalization of rivers in Indian context. Particularly in the first round, they brought the idea of a nationalization of rivers within the South India. That means how to use water in just manner without wasting the water. So this is also very important component in new agriculture. And lack of land availability. Many of you know we have a more land in terms of the resource, but in terms of cultivable land, in terms of land for productivity process, we have a problem. So how to convert our land as a resource which will benefit the new agriculture strategies. So this is what we have to focus on, the new age agriculture concept. And more importantly, exploding population. I think already Dr. Tommy mentioned India is going to beat or India is going to lead China in terms of population also. In the next 10 years or 15 years or within 2047, we will take over China in terms of population. Population is not a problem when we convert population as a resource. Normally as a student of economics, we study population as a problem. But in real sense, if you look at population as a resource, in terms of skillful population, in terms of educated population, in terms of knowledge population, so population will be a resource if we convert the population as a resource. So the exploding must be treated in a different way. That means Indian government must make population as a resource within 2047. And the increases crop productivity per seed. I think that's a serious problem in the agriculture. We have a more cultivation in terms of paddy, in terms of seed, in terms of oil. But productivity wise, we are not able to have a better result. Particularly compared to Philippines, compared to China, compared to Europe, we are lacking behind in terms of agriculture productivity. So the new age agriculture is also focusing on increasing productivity by way of the digitalization process, by way of new technology. Then next one is increases the use of modern technology. I think many of you know the work done by M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation in the field of agriculture, particularly rural agriculture. They are able to monitor the climate. They are able to monitor the crop productivity. They are able to monitor the water use in rural areas with a specimen parts. So the M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation brought new techniques and new results for the government to implement in the name of modern technology, appropriate technology, or relevant technology, only with new agricultural process. Another important point you must remember, limits usage of water, limited usage of water. I think, there are many projects from corporate as well as government. Even students also need to sensitize the use of water at the home, at the farm, at the firm. And many of you know, the automobile industry is consuming more amounts of water than any other sector. It's a report from industrial sector. That means we always think in terms of increasing productivity. At the same time, it's a lesser use of water because water becomes a scarce commodity. The economics used to call water as a free good. But today, the cost of water is much higher than some food or some food. So that's a problem water. So we always think in terms of limit of usage of water. And produces climate resilient crops. I think India is known for cropland agriculture. So how to make the new technology, how to use crop technology to suit cropland area in order to have a better agriculture performance. This is what we need to focus on. And in order to support these things, we must have enhanced seeds, farm equipment, and other things. I think we shifted from bullock economy to tractor economy, from tractor economy to cooperative and corporate farm economy. Whether the corporate farm economy is helping or not, many regions of India is also using cooperative farm economy that will bring better results in agricultural sector. So it depends upon the location. We have to make use of the available technology available to the farmers in order to have better productivity, in order to have a better production. And uses sensors and provides information about soil conditions, environmental conditions, and the crop conditions. I think today, in terms of science and technology, in terms of agriculture-based science and technology, we are able to bring more innovativeness to test our soil, to test our environment, and to support new crop varieties in Indian farming. These things also complement a very important idea behind making India 2047 in terms of new age agriculture. And I already mentioned another important point, what you call future ready cities. I think according to United Nations, more than 5 billion people are living in cities by 2030. That means the world is moving towards more number of cities. At the same time, the city development or urban development always causing more socio-economic political problems. But how to control it? That's the idea the government is focused. Cities occupy only 3% of the total land on the earth. That means with a limited space, it's a good one, but at the same time, it's around 60 to 80% of energy consumption. But it's a very, very dangerous situation. That mapping energy consumption in India, it is the urban settlements are consuming more energy than the rural. So there's a mismatch. There is a problem of demand and supply. There is a problem of inequality in terms of energy. So this is why government through this topic. And future cities are those that are prepared to face these conditions. Very important observation. And encourage the urban population to construct a building upwards. That's why we are able to see apartments by way of having a limited space. But at the same time, even apartments have some kind of a problem. If you are traveling mega city like in Delhi, if you are traveling from Delhi to Noida, if you are traveling from Delhi to UP, you are able to see crores and crores of housing projects are idle. That means upward movement of housing sites is also causing more problems in terms of maintenance of urge to switch towards electrical power and reduce carbon emissions. I think many of you know last 3-4 years the central government as well as state government is encouraging to use more electrical vehicles, electrical products, keeping people away from petrol, diesel related vehicles. I think many of you know on one side, if you are consuming more and more petrol and diesel, we have to pay more for it. Nothing but dollarization effect. On the other side, when you are consuming more and more petrol and diesel, that will give more carbon effects in the context. I think more importantly, it is also causing more bad health practices in industrial sectors. So the government is simply slowly shifting from the petrol dependent, diesel dependent, dependent to the electrical dependent. And how to produce more electricity, that's also partial underground construction, climate resilient activities, with regard to construction activities. That means sometimes the region which has a acute shortage of rainfall, a region which has a high degree of sunlight. So it depends upon the climate in the region. We have to make a housing project suitable to that region. But normally, in a demonstration effect means copying the consumption behavior of others, by way of imitating the practice themselves, we are constructing houses without knowing or without understanding the negative impact of the technology, negative impact of the housing projects unsuitable to our needs. So this is also to be noted when you are planning for future radiation. And I think there are 3 points which are already mentioned by Dr. Tommy. But again, I have to re-insist these points because the key areas identified when the government is making the document. Agriculture, commerce, industry, infrastructure, urban landscape, security and defense, technology and governance are the focal points to be implemented in an efficient way in order to have a better India in 2047. And I already mentioned the governance. It's a governance very, very serious point because as you may know, there is an institution called Indian Institute of Public Administration at Delhi. They brought new ideas in terms of governance. Governance helps us to improve the quality of life of the people. Governance will help for rating of government, and governance will help benefit the poor benefits. So governance is a very, very key word in the document. Government processes, bringing institutional expertise in government decides, eliminating unnecessary interference by the government in the lives of citizens. I think, the best example to be understood this point is government is allotting more and more funds. Government is planning new schemes, but reaching poor, reaching common man, reaching women and children, reaching rural areas is a serious issue today. So when all the planned expenditure, the planned outlay must be governance, where the technology play a vital role. The digitalization process will help to reach all the people by the government in order to improve their conditions, not only working conditions, living conditions, as well as their psychological conditions. Many of you know, on one side, India is having a demographic dividend that means youth India. On another side, India is having nearly 30 to 40% youth are having hypertension. Not only because of unemployment, because of other conditions that we will discuss later. Another thing, develop India into skill capital by way of bringing newness. I think already mentioned by Dr. Tommy, the government of India brought new education policy with a note on skills development, knowledge study, and making Indian youth, Indian educated youth as a global leaders in the world of corporate and well government. This is what we have to understand as a very important point of this policy. The new agriculture already I said focuses on irrigation project also. Irrigation process in the sense that we have a land system in India, more of what we call unirrigated land system. I already said drought prone area. The drought prone area is, if you watch closely, the statement made by our Honorable Prime Minister 3 months back, the more than 100 districts in India are suffering a lot in terms of drought, in terms of poverty, in terms of malnutrition, in terms of illiteracy. So these things to be addressed effectively by way of targeting the backward districts in India. What we need to understand. And what do you call development of Indian infrastructure to the future ready cities by way of making our planners to create a conducive plan. This is the idea proposed by NIDIOIS. I think many of you know. I think formerly the plan commission. Now for government of India, NIDIOIS play a vital role. NIDIOIS is bringing an annual report as well as a report on various sectors frequently. So I request our student friends and faculty friends to refer NIDIOIS reports when you want to understand the efforts, policy efforts, program efforts taken by government of India. If you closely watch the NIDIOIS website, you will get all the details. So NIDIOIS is also partnering India, government of India by way of 3 things. One is decarbonization. They want to have a focus on free from carbonization, that means decarbonization by way of using electrical power, by way of using environment-friendly technology, by way of using what we call people-friendly machines. Even though automation is on that, but even automation with less pollution. That's what they are discussing as decarbonization. Making India as a 40 billion economy in 2047. I think the last 2-3 years, the government is speaking about 5 billion economy. Even now, we are having a problem in reaching 5 billion economy because of pandemic situation, because of COVID situation. But as a government, they have a confidence on bringing or achieving the goal of bringing 5 billion economy within a few years. On the basis of observation, on the basis of the consumption, government of India is also planning for making the 40 billion economy and to become energy independent by 2047. I think the energy I'm referring to many times because India has a problem in terms of energy. The demand and supply of energy is a problem. That means the supply of energy in India is less than the demand for energy. That means we are consuming more and more energy products at the home level, at the farm level, at the firm level, at the industry level. But at the same time, we are not able to produce more energy products or more energy. So we have to depend on we have to depend on multinational companies. We have to depend on foreign countries. In other words, we have to pay more dollars to the foreign countries in order to get energy. That's why the government of India is thinking in terms of making energy independent India in 2047 by way of bringing nuclear energy and solar energy and other energy resources. New projects. They are also encouraging people to use solar energy. They are giving subsidy. They are giving more what you call price subsidy as well as technology subsidy for people to use solar energy projects all over India. And I think many of you know, next slide, please. Slide on rural development sector. Hello. Are you able to hear my voice? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, rural development sector. Why rural development is more important? Next one. Why rural development is important? Is India is known as rural India. India is known as agrarian India. India is known as what is called in other words, India is supported by villages. Not only the idea set by Gandhi, even now we can understand India is surrounded by, supported by rural. So this policy is also focusing on bringing India, developing India through developing rural development, through developing rural India, in terms of social development, in terms of rural infrastructure, in terms of environmental concerns, in terms of growing population and urbanization. We have to know why urbanization is why urbanization, because of migration from rural area to urban area. If a rural area, if people of rural area are able to have access to many resources in terms of jobs, in terms of education, in terms of skill sets, in terms of technology, in terms of banking, they are not able to, they are not interested to migrate from rural to urban area. So if you are treating rural India in a meaningful way through a supporting mechanism, support in terms of education and other sectors, then that is a chance to reduce the problem of urbanization. And agriculture and allied activities also to be focused in rural area, and particularly the development of rural districts. I think today India, the Indian government is giving much importance to MSME sector, particularly the MSME in semi-urban as well as rural India. So the MSME sector in rural India as well as semi-urban area will help to have more income, more employment opportunities, more income generation, more what we can say. In other words, it also reduces economic crime in India. So the support to MSME in urban, particularly semi-urban and rural India, semi-urban and the rural India will help to develop the India support. Employment and changes in occupational sector. I think many of you know the job market or the employment sector is slowly changing, shifting from agriculture to industry, industry to from industry manufacturing to service sector. But even now, more dependence on agriculture sector. On one side, more dependent on agriculture sector, or we call it a disguised unemployment. There is no need to employ more labor in the limited agriculture classes, but because of availability of labor, they are engaged. So the productivity becomes negative. So that's why the government is making a project in order to utilize the human resources available in rural area in other states by way of encouraging rural industry, by way of encouraging tiny industry, by way of encouraging MSME. So these processes must be supported in order to make India as a vibrant India. The technology, why rural people are not able to participate in many industrial processes because of lack of training, because of absence of technical education. So these things must be addressed when you are making rural India as a major component in global India, India 2047. Sensitizing rural people in terms of energy conservation and energy conservation. And building of industrial, building of institutional expertise and centers of excellence. I think many of you know most of the in terms of education sector, in terms of industry, is urban sector. When we have a more of urban sector institute, it's very difficult to focus on rural use. That's a very serious problem. That's why we are requesting the government to make these institutions as what is called both urban as well as rural sector. One second. Yeah, please. And another important thing we always remember, one important point, balanced regional development. I think the NDOA also cautioned government that India is having a problem of inequality in terms of income, jobs, technology, and other things. You take a digital infrastructure availability in India. Everyone wants to use digital resources, but digital resources are more available only with urban sectors, not with rural. If you are closely watching the basic education or school education, the rural India, the people in the rural area are suffering a lot because of what we call digital vulnerability. That means digital infrastructure is limited and access to digital technology also common. So these things must be addressed when you are making India as what you call as a country. And the quality assurance and the regulatory activity. You always must have idea of quality assurance. I think the International Quality Council as well as Quality Council, Quality Circle Forum of India are cautioning Indian government and Indian corporate in terms of focus, or they are asking government and corporates to improve quality as well as assurance in their own process. I'll give an example. If you closely watch corporate India, industries in India, they are not able to have a what we call zero defect method of production. When they are able to follow zero defect method of production, then they are able to export more. So cost will be reduced. So they can earn more foreign exchange by their export. So this kind of zero defect methodology and the quality circles in the industry as well as education are very important to be adopted by the corporate as well as government. That will bring effective governance system in India. Another thing, research and development. I think research and development is a broader term. R&D is play a vital role. R&D means it's not a unique one. It is applicable to all sectors. Even at the home level, we always look at R&D. What is the uniqueness or objective of R&D? Bringing quality, bringing productivity, bringing what we call less loss or reduction of losses, reduction of cost. So these are the focuses of R&D to be applied in rural sectors. This is according to what we call Government of India report, rural.nic.in. They brought a report. If students are interested, you can refer these things and they have a detailed report on that. And maybe in nutshell, I also give a serious points in terms of SWOT as well as cautions for India. In terms of SWOT, that means strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat. I'm going to only one point regarding SWOT in order to have a better understanding about the present India. In terms of strength of India, the land of solar power and renewable energy technologies. We have a more strength. I'm giving only one point as a leading point, as a key point. There are many points to be addressed. Why I'm giving this solar power as a very strength of India on three grounds. One, we have an enormous scope for solar energy. If you closely watch, most of the districts, most of the regions of India are linked with more sunlight. More than 70 to 80% of year, they will have a more effective sunlight. So we have to tap and utilize solar energy. Another side is supporting indirectly to reduce import of energy from foreign countries. That means if we are dependent on more foreign energy products, foreign energy import, then we have to pay more dollars. We have to pay more foreign exchange. Again, it is also disturbing our Indian economy. I think many of you know there are three things of the disturbances to the Indian economy. One is a huge import from abroad. That means you have to pay more foreign exchange. Second one, we have to we have a problem of more foreign debt, more public debt as well as foreign debt. When you have a more public debt, then again we have to pay more what you call income or foreign exchange to the country, including international financial institutions. Another thing, we always depend on international technology. So technology dependent. That's why the government of India thinking in terms of technological independence. So bringing innovativeness, encouraging young scientists, encouraging Indian scientists to work for promoting. So these are the things related to the strength of India. And second one, weakness of, I think many of you know there are serious weaknesses of Indian economy and India, but very serious what referred by many agencies. Country stricken by poverty from so-called Kurukural from the 2022. From Kurukural age to 2023 age, we are mentioning poverty is a serious problem. That means even even after what you call 50 years or 60 years of independence, even after serious planning efforts, we are not able to treat poverty, mainly rural poverty, mainly poverty in terms of gender, poverty in terms of children. We are not able to deal with it. So this is a serious problem with reference to on one side high income, high growth, on another side high poverty, high illiteracy. So poverty is a caution to be addressed seriously. In terms of opportunity, investments are needed for 69 Indian countries. I already mentioned 69 Indian countries in the sense 69 cities. That means there is a huge opportunity for international capital to flow into India in terms of focusing on developing Indian cities. I think huge scope for developing infrastructure in Indian cities. That is a very, very important point to note. And threat, I already mentioned, on one side we are talking about demography dividend, Indian educated, skillful, English speaking. On the other side, India is having a nearly 30 to 40% of Indian youth are having a problem of hypertension. Not only because of unemployment, because of other factors. Dr. Tommy rightly mentioned, many classroom exercises are redundant. Many educational degrees are redundant. So we always think in terms of beyond curriculum exercise, beyond classroom exercise, beyond say capability exercise. So we have to give a proper training to the youth, not only in terms of academics, in terms of employment, but also in terms of psychological motivation. And not only the hypertension problem of youth can be in a positive way. In terms of cautions, I already mentioned, when we have an idea of identifying cautions, we always have a better plan for a near global better future. The country's growth is measured by how much it respects the rights of its citizens. That means, on one side, we are talking about growth. On one side, we are talking about high income, double-digit growth rate. But at the same time, the benefits of growth must reach to all the citizens. Where we have to be very careful in terms of converting the benefits of growth to reach to all citizens. Second one, until women are safe in public spaces, no amount of economic growth is available. We already mentioned on one side we are having a policy, gender-based policy addressing improving the conditions of women, improving conditions of rural women, increasing conditions of SC. On another side, we are not able to understand whether they are benefited or not, whether they got a benefit out of the policy and programs of government and corporate. I think many of you know corporates also doing many work in terms of corporate social responsibility as well as institutional social responsibility. So we always maintain whether the programs and the policies of the government and corporate will benefit women. And that's a very, very important caution in that. And to be free of the problem of unemployment, and high profile jobs for every person to make their life worth living. On one side, if you watch the inequality in terms of wage, inequality in terms of job, inequality in terms of income, it's a I think ILO is cautioning governments, many governments, including our India, to address this issue. So that's why we have a policy called minimum wage policy, at least decent jobs referred by ILO. So these things also must be addressed here properly. And people should live in harmony and peace despite having different cultures and religions. I think Dr. Tommy rightly mentioned in the noble words, adopting the Indianness in planet, adopting Indian religion, adopting Indian people. All segments of religions must be involved and included in the planning process. Because India is a unique country, what you call involving many sectors. I think India is a unique country in the world in terms of having multiple facets of religion, multiple facets of language. Dialects all play a vital role in Indian context. So how we can accommodate these things when we are planning for the 2047 India policy? And they will be among the best educated and entrepreneurial, and so will occupy top posts across the world. I think we are able to mention few. We are able to mention Google. We are able to mention other agencies administered by or headed by or executed by Indian youth. But at the same time, when you closely watch the number of people, number of Indian leaders, Indian youth, Indian technocrats, Indian CEOs involved in the global business, in terms of number, it's only limited. So we must encourage more number of people to engage with international agencies in terms of their decisions, in terms of their policy, in terms of their working. So we must encourage a situation, we must bring a new situation, encourage our Indian skillful youth to participate in international corporate governance. India's population will rise to 1.6 billion, overtaking China to become the global leader in population. Again, I must thank Tommy sir for making a point. In India, even after 25 years, India is a young India, thanks to Indian population. Because 20 years back, we used to study Indian population in India as what we call a problematic one. Because of the government efforts, because of international agency efforts, we are able to treat our population from problem into resource. So we are able to convert our population as a resource. So in terms of 2047 India is a young India. That's also a very interesting, important point to be noted. So how young India can be utilized for a better India in 2047? My topic is sustainable India. What is sustainable India? I think I must as an India, we are able to see multi-dimensional aspects of India. But at the same time, we always think in terms of sustaining good things, sustaining good quality, sustaining good economic growth. In terms of poverty reduction, in terms of job creation, in terms of income generation, all that. For that, I think the United Nations brought 7 sustainable development goals to be implemented all over the world, including India. That means these are the key points to be addressed in terms of making India in 2047. Even though United Nations brought a policy, brought a document in terms of sustainable development goals for 2030, but this is more applicable to India, even to adopt the India 2047. I will give only the points of sustainable development goals, which has a more application to Indian situation. One is about no poverty or zero poverty, that means poverty reduction. Zero hunger. I think the hunger is a very serious problem in Indian context. Even WH is accepting hunger is a serious problem in India. So how to make zero hunger and good health and well-being, quality education, and gender equality, clean water and sanitation, and affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, and industry, innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable cities and the communities, reasonable and responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals. I think these 17 sustainable development goals are focusing on how a particular nation, how a particular country can improve their condition in terms of social development, in terms of economic development, in terms of cultural development, as well as in terms of following just world order. They are just new world order. That means bringing justice to everyone. Even though it is a United document, United Nations document, these goals are having a more relevance in Indian context, because the achieving SDGs in India is a serious problem. I think if you closely review the status of SDGs in Indian context, we are not very happy. Yeah, but Government of India is also making serious efforts in terms of adopting SDGs in Indian level, in state level, in district level. I think in district level, state level, and national level, execution of SDGs proposed by the United Nations is very, very important. I think last 5 to 10 years, the serious efforts brought good results in terms of improvement. If you closely watch the well-being index of India and the poverty reduction in India, job creation in India, climate action decision in India, we are happy. But when you want to have a global India, India as a global leader in 2047, we must execute in a proper way of these SDGs at all levels. I already said at national level, at district level, at what we call state level, by way of involving the what we call federal government system. The Indian government is a federal government. Indian government is having a three-tier system. We must utilize these three-tier systems to execute to get better results. The SDGs must be executed in a proper way. In order to have a sustainable India in 2047, we have to think of the different roles by different institutions, including the youth of India. Number one, international institutions. International institutions like World Bank, ILO, United Nations, OECD countries, Asian Productivity Organization. These organizations are working for improving the quality of life of people all over the world in 2050. In 2030, they brought a new policy documents. They published a new document on various sectors, including education, including decent jobs and all that. So international institutions play a very, very vital role in improving Indian condition also by way of suggesting the policy measures to the government as well as corporates in India, as well as NGOs in India to execute labor-related, well-being related, gender-related policies in order to have a holistic India in 2047. And another important thing I already mentioned, the government role, the role of government to bring what you call happy India, what you call through income generation, through employment relations, through decent jobs, through quality education, skillful education, knowledge education. We have to play a vital role as a coordinated way. I'm referring here the coordinated role of three government systems. The central government, state government, and local government must be coordinated in a better way to have a better future in Indian context. If state government and central government have a what I can say misunderstanding in terms of the execution of economic policy and other things, then there will be a problem in reaching the goal of 2047 as a global leader. And another important thing, corporate India. I think the corporate India play a very, very vital role to bring Indian economy into a better position. I think even though they are focusing on high productivity, high profitability, high quality, but they are also doing the important things with reference to the well-being of India. One, the corporate social responsibility. In terms of corporate social responsibility, the government, the corporate are supporting government projects. Corporates are supporting people projects. Government corporates are supporting village projects in order to have a social relevance, in order to have a better future. And I think many of you know institutional social responsibility. Many institutions, education institutions, business institutions, multinational corporate institutions, they're also bringing new projects to support Indian Indianness projects, Indianness projects. And more importantly, non-government organizations, without voluntary organizations, without volunteerism, without NGOs, it's very difficult to think of India a global leader in 2040. So there must be a effective role, a serious role, what you call an inclusive role for the non-governmental organization to develop India in a better way. And volunteerism through knowledge, skills, and technology. Everyone, every citizen of India must play a vital role. I think the skills, the attributes, the attitude, what we are expecting is, I think Dr. Tommy rightly mentioned, what are the attributes we are expecting from youngsters, from individuals in the country. So volunteerism play a vital role. In other words, we always connected with the project. We always connected with developing India in a better way. Not escape from the project, escape from policy decisions, escape from or making distance from government decisions, making distance from India interest projects. We always must involve, incorporate with the decisions of decisions with the focus on developing India. And more importantly, we have to use the youth power, youth idea. There are many works done by international audits, including Indian audits, on demographic dividend and economic development in India. So youth are playing a vital role. I think in terms of quantitative as well as quantitative value of the NCC youth in India, it's a very noteworthy assets of India. It's a value for India. I think the youth of India must play a vital role in terms of bringing newness, bringing innovativeness in their walks of life. And they must adopt themselves into a better, positive attitude situation. This is what we are expecting. I think youth, I'm referring youth, not in terms of age, in terms of fresh ideas, in terms of positive attitude, in terms of eagerness to learn, in terms of eagerness to lead a global corporate. So these are the attitudes toward the young youth of India. For that, we need to educate people in terms of what we call sustainable education or sustainable India education. So I request each one of you, particularly it is a request to youngsters in the audience, each one of you, please think in terms of each one make idea one. At least one idea which will promote which will promote India as a global partner in 2047. If not, each one meet with the other one friend and create idea one. That means we normally used to say each one teach one. If not each one catch one and teach one. But I am referring here as each one idea one. If not each one meet one and idea one. So ideas of youngsters, ideas of our youth is very important. I think that the point which I covered in this presentation is a very big one. When we think of ideas of youngsters in the country, I hope the participants in the international workshop can bring new ideas to improve India in 2047. Maybe in terms of reaching people, in terms of bringing inequality, in terms of quality education, globally accepted quality education, and others. So this is what I need to say. And if you have any questions, please. The last line. Friends, I hope the last slide we can show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hope you have a few more minutes to share. If somebody wants to have an interaction, please.
Dear participants, if you want to ask more questions to us, sir, you can post it in our chat.
Yeah, the slide will be available the evening in the www.slideset.com, and people can comment on the slides by way, not in terms of methodology, but in terms of a conceptual idea. Welcoming suggestions and questions. If somebody is writing in short box, we can check, madam. I don't know whether I'm able to reach all.
Dear participants, if you have questions, please post it in our chat.
If there is no question, so they can also suggest some points, some new ideas. That's what I requested youngsters to bring new ideas. If they have idea, they can also suggest that. Somebody request.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Actually, I am asking him to unmute himself. Yes, Anbalagan sir, you can ask your question now. If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask questions to us, sir.
Not only questions, even ideas can be shared. PPT can be closed.
Sorry, sir.
PowerPoint presentation can be closed. I hope they have more ideas. That's why they are not asking questions.
So there is a question in a chat, sir, from Manisha.
Yeah, please.
You have mentioned about demographic dividend. So we can focus more on strata level, from lower level to higher level, from tribal regions to urban.
Your idea is correct. I don't know the idea proposed by what's his name?
Manisha, sir.
Yeah, please. It's a good idea. That's what we discussed. That means we are discussing the demographic dividend only in terms of youth, in terms of English speaking, in terms of skillful youth, in terms of technology trained youth. But that's not a right one. And you rightly mentioned it must be focused at different strata level from rural to urban, within the rural also, from village to I think village to say metropolitan, village to municipality. So at all levels, the democratic dividend must be trained. The democratic dividend must be addressed. Then only we can have a better young India. So thank you for mentioning the right idea, right point. Thank you. Good idea. So always the youth must be trained, addressed at different stakeholders, different regions, different. Sometimes a region has sound in English conversation. If you closely watch northeastern states, they are good at conversation in English, but they need to train in a different. They need to train in different other knowledge. So depends upon the request. We always look at the different states to be trained in order to make a better MEP. That's what I refer. Democracy. Yes. Another question.
Question from Dr. Anbalaran. What are the ways FDI can be utilized in agricultural sector? One or two suggestions, please.
Yeah, FDI must be addressed in a proper way by way of encouraging two important things. One is in terms of corporate farming as well as cooperative farming. I think if you are closely watching Karnataka experience and Punjab experience, there are many cooperative farming evidence. The farmers can join together. They are making as a corporate. They are making as a what called a business organization. And the government of India is also supporting us. So wherever the FDI is relevant, wherever the FDI is what you call have a more meaningful impact, they can use it. For me, cooperative farming and corporate farming can have a more FDI in agriculture. In terms of corporate farming, we must understand few states like Punjab has a different experience of corporate farming, and Haryana is having a evidence of corporate farming. Maharashtra has a corporate farming. Karnataka has a corporate farming. So there are certain regions. In few states, they have a corporate farming sector and cooperative farming sector in order to have a mass production. So where they need huge amounts of investment, huge amount of capital, where the government can encourage more FDI in agriculture.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Dr. Anbalaran, please.
Yes, sir. I have a little bit of, I need a little bit of clarification.
Please, sir.
But recently, our government, central government has brought this agriculture bill.
Yeah.
It was agitated by our North Indians,
Yeah.
especially in more of a Punjab and other peoples.
Not only North Indians, it's an Indian farmer.
Yeah. But I am mentioning that particularly because Punjab people, they are Punjab and UP, other people, they are very much agitating this bill.
Yeah.
But in other words, the FDI, at the same time, it speaks about corporate farming. Is there any connection between this agriculture bill and this FDI, not FDI, this corporate farming?
Yeah, you are 100% correct. I hope you have a better understanding about Indian agriculture. Normally, we used to discuss Indian agriculture, drought-prone agriculture, ruralness, and others. When you are traveling few pockets of India, particularly Punjab, Haryana, few pockets of Maharashtra, I already mentioned Karnataka. So there is the existence of corporate farming as well as cooperative farming. Wherever I think the bill needs to discuss in an elaborate way, it's very difficult to give a summary of bill in a 1 minute time. But bill has to be addressed all farmers by way of adopting or including all the farmers into the policy decision. That's what they are expecting. We are not against the bill as a student of economics, but the policy must be framed by way of involving farmers of different regions in order to convince them. So there are many issues to be discussed, but your question is a very serious question. But on one side, there is a problem of understanding agriculture because the bill is addressing in common, in a public way, in a common way. But the regions of Punjab, Haryana, Maharashtra, Karnataka, they will suffer a lot because they have a prevalence of corporate farming and cooperative farming. That means corporate farming, cooperative farming has the idea of profiteering, just like a business organization. Whereas agriculture has the idea of cultivation, having more productivity, sometimes self-supporting cultivation practice. If you are closely watching a broad-term area of agriculture process, you are always cultivating to support the requirements of the family, of the demand, food demand of the family. Whereas corporate farming always look at how to earn a huge profit by way of agriculture. So there are issues to be discussed in detail, but your understanding is the best one. So always agricultural policy, agricultural bill must address to all sections of farmers in Indian farming. Whenever we are making a policy, the best policy is self-defense policy. Policy must be supported by people at all walks of life, particularly in the farming sector. That's what we are requesting to the government.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you for your clarification.
Yeah, it's a good question from Dr.
We have no other questions or suggestions in our chat. Shall we conclude the session, sir?
Yeah, please. Thank you. So I must thank the organizing team again for making a wonderful session. And sorry, because of some technological defect, I'm not able to use in a proper way.
Not at all. Thank you, sir, for such an enlightening session. This session helped us magnify our cause in the best possible way. Your views towards sustainable India have broadened our horizons. We express our sincere thanks for such a wonderful speech and expect chances to hear such speeches in future also, sir. Then thank you once again for giving your consent to be a keynote speaker for our 3-day national conference. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Dear participants, you are supposed to join the afternoon session at 1:45 p.m. The paper presentation for the numbers 1 to 4, which are posted in our group, will be conducted today at 4 p.m. as parallel sessions. The schedule and the name list of the presenters has already shared in our conference WhatsApp group yesterday. I shared it again now. Kindly refer to it and join in the respective meeting links given in your schedule. Thank you. The feedback link for the session 2 has been posted in our chat. Please fill the form. No, ma'am, you have to join your third session, afternoon session at 1:45 p.m. The paper presentation sessions will be at 4 p.m. We have 4 sessions today at 4 p.m. There are 4 meeting links, Google meeting links have been given schedule.
Hello, madam. How about others who are not going to present today?
You will have your session tomorrow, sir. Tomorrow at
should
the
I-
same time after third session, sir.
That's fine. So should I join today's session as well?
If you are interested, sir. We have 4 sessions today. If you are interested, you can join in any one of the.
Okay, it is not mandatory, right?
Not mandatory for the paper presentation session, sir. But you are supposed to be in the third session. After
Yeah,
your.
third session starts by 1:40, ends by 3:30, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, right.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Hello,
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, can you please post the schedule again because some of us
Sure,
registered
ma'am.
yesterday
Sure, ma'am.
only.
It will be shared. It will be shared.
Okay, ma'am. And
Ma'am, a small request. What about the technical session 1, madam? Start by. The schedule it has been stated like 3:30. The technical session starts. Am I right, madam?
Yes, sir. But we thought of having half an hour break. So
Okay.
our third session will complete at 3:30. And the
Okay.
technical sessions, that means paper presentation, will start at 4 o'clock.
Perfect. Perfect, madam. Thank you so much.
All the 4 sessions will start at 4 o'clock.
Okay.
Respective links given in the.
Fine, madam. Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you all. We will meet at 1:45. Thank you.